We hear it all the time. We need a circular economy. But let's be honest, the progress feels painfully slow. So why is that? It's not just about getting better at recycling. The real problem is a huge blind spot in how our entire economy works, a fundamental flaw in how we think about value itself. So that's what we're going to dig into here. We're going to unpack that core flaw, and then we'll explore a powerful new way of thinking that doesn't just point out the problem, but actually gives us a new way to see and to measure what our world's true wealth really is. All right, first up, let's really diagnose the problem. We need to understand the linear take-make-waste system that's been steering us straight towards a dead end. It feels like we've got the technology, right? We've got the ambition. So why is this big transition taking so long? Well, the answer isn't just about needing more electric cars or better recycling plants. It turns out the problem is actually hardwired right into the system's design. Our economy is essentially a one-way street. We pull resources out of the ground, we make stuff with them, we use it, and then we throw it away. Waste is just the expected final stop. And this model, by its very nature, is just built to run down our planet's resources. And here it is, the absolute core of the problem. Our system is designed to have an endpoint called waste. We are literally designing materials to become useless, to completely fall out of the economy, totally ignoring all the value that's still locked up inside them after just one use. So how in the world do you fix a problem that's this fundamental? Well, it's going to take a lot more than just getting better at recycling. What we actually need is a whole new language, a completely new way to see and value the foundational wealth that our economy just ignores right now. This quote just gets right to the heart of it. Think about it. Traditional economics is fantastic at putting a price tag on stuff you can buy and sell. But clean air, a stable climate, a healthy ocean, the Earth doesn't send us an invoice for using those things, so our system often treats them like they're worthless. And that leads to absolutely disastrous decisions in the long run. Okay, and that is where this idea of real capital comes into play. You can think of it as the durable, lasting foundation of our society. It's not the stuff that gets used up and thrown away. It's the underlying stock of resources, the things that don't get consumed that make everything else possible. And this image, this really shows you a huge idea. Our real wealth isn't just about dollars and cents. It's this living, breathing system that's built on 4 interconnected pillars. If you weaken one of them, the whole structure starts to wobble. So let's break that down real quick. You've got natural capital, which is our planet, the air, the water, the forests. Then there's human capital, which is us, our skills, our knowledge, our health. Social capital is our communities, our laws, our trusted institutions. And finally, built capital is all the stuff we create. The roads, the buildings, the factories. You need all 4 of these to be strong and healthy for a society to really thrive. Okay, so once you have this new language, what can you do with it? Well, you can build a whole new toolkit. We can start creating a kind of balance sheet that measures our real impact on the world, not just our financial profit and loss. And a key part of this is this idea of materiality. Now, in the accounting world, something is material if it's important enough to actually change a decision. What this new model says is, hey, a dead forest, a polluted river, that is just as material, just as critical to our bottom line as a huge financial loss. This really lays out the shift in thinking, doesn't it? We move away from just measuring something like GDP, and we start looking at actual well-being. We stop obsessing only about profit and start focusing on resilience. The whole question changes from, what's the price, to what's the real impact? You can actually think of this just like a basic balance sheet. On one side, you've got your assets, our healthy capital, like clean rivers and a skilled workforce. On the other side are our liabilities, the damage we're doing, like pollution and using up resources. And our equity? Well, that's our true societal wealth, what's left over. It's a balance sheet for our planet. Now, this all sounds great in theory, right? But what does it actually look like when you put it into practice? So let's take a look at a really powerful example from Sweden that shows how this whole framework can make the invisible, well, visible. So they asked a really simple but kind of profound question. When it comes to transportation, to just getting around, are we really getting a good deal for the environmental price we're paying? And wow, this chart just lays out this massive disconnect. That bar on the left, it shows that cars handle most of the travel, measured by distance. But then you look at the bar on the right, and you see that cars are responsible for a huge, totally out of proportion chunk of the CO2 emissions. But now look at the train.
It's providing the second most transportation service, moving tons of people around, and yet you can barely even see its emissions on the chart. That is incredible efficiency. You're getting maximum service for minimal damage to our natural capital.
See, this is exactly what happens when you start measuring the things that actually matter. The moment you start focusing on your impact on real capital, the smartest, most effective ways to build a sustainable future just become crystal clear. And this way of thinking leads to three pretty clear principles. First up, responsibility. Make the people who use natural capital responsible for restoring it. Second, capability. Actually measure how circular our systems are. And third, allocation. When a resource like our carbon budget is tight, you have to give it to the most efficient services, like rail over cars. In the end, it really comes down to that old saying, what you measure is what you manage. By shifting our whole framework away from just financial numbers and towards real capital, we give our policymakers the clear, data-driven tools they need to build an economy that actually works for people and for the planet. And that kind of leaves us with one final big question to think about. If we really started to measure our true wealth, our natural, human, social, and built capital, and stopped focusing only on financial profit, what starts to change? What do we suddenly look at and say, wow, we absolutely cannot afford to lose that?